what it is. See what it is right here. Go gadget. What's good? Man, I had to come back on this one. Yeah. Most definitely had to come back for this. Oh man. We wanna I wanna let the people get up in here. Let some people get up in here, man. And yeah, let's do it. Let's do it, man. What's up with everybody? Yes, sir. Yes, sir, in the building. This is spare of the moment, man. It came across my feed, man, and I watched it. He said you still listen to a debriefer. Hey, man, this is social media, man. I watch content, man. You know, some of the stuff I watch, but a lot of the stuff I don't watch. But this one right here caught my attention. It caught my attention. So I said, you know what? Let me speak on it because he said some things that's not true, right? And him not being from Los Angeles, well, even if he was from Los Angeles, because one thing I noticed is this: you got a lot of Mexicans from Los Angeles that'll deny a lot of the things that we say when it comes to essays being NK, especially when we're talking about certain hoods like the Hawaiian Gardens, Azusa 13, the avenues, things like that. Hit the like button, man. Shout out to Frank Nitty, man. What's popping, baby? Yeah, man. Let's get it. Click that like button, man. Shout out to you, man. I appreciate you for giving that positive feedback. And listen, man, I don't beef with people over social media, man. I'm just here to clear a few things up, man. You know, as you can see, I don't need to talk about Dubs for views. I don't need to talk about this dude for views. I'm talking about it because it's very important. And this is a subject that I speak on a lot. So this conversation is right up my alley. You know what I'm saying? For sure. It's right up my alley. Well, he's gonna say he's been in prison with certain guy. It don't matter if you've been in prison, man. You ain't from Los Angeles. Snitch. Who said who's a snitch? Talking about a snitch. That's crazy. But yeah, I'm not one of those guys who needs to talk about does. My live streams do pretty good on average. Especially when I go live in the mornings. Now, I listen, I get most of my views come from my live streams, maybe from like 7 a.m. to like 1 p.m. That's when my live streams do the best numbers. These nighttime live streams, it's kind of iffy. They're iffy. It's kind of so. Well, I want you to understand something. As a content creator, see, I'm not a consumer, I'm a content creator. So when something comes across my desk, I'll react to it. So it has nothing to do with me listening to his content like a fan, right? Now, to be fair, some of his content is pretty cool. He's put out some good content. Now, as far as that other stuff, I don't really care about that. That's his personal business. You know, I'm only here to deal with the stuff that he said in the video. Who cares about anyway? I ain't gonna dive into that. Shout out to everybody for tapping in with me though, in a major way. In a major way. Now, for those of you who know, the young Compton Crips went to, I believe it was Chinatown, and they did an interview, a hood vlog with Rodney in LA. And they felt like going to Chinatown was a neutral zone. Well, not necessarily, because there's SA neighborhoods in that area. So you're gonna run into somebody in Chinatown. You know, you got the Avenues and many other gangs in that area. Then what's crazy is damn man, some of the listeners back east might be sleeping. It's going on 11 p.m. out there. Yeah, you're right about that. You're right about that. That's exactly why. Like most of my streams, I like to do them early, right? And those dudes was Crips. Those dudes were Crips, but they were kids though, man. You could see when they bang. They said, "Where you from?" We from Wooty Whoop Compton Crip. They didn't even have bass in their voice. Did you guys hear when they banged their hood? They didn't even have no bass in their voice, man. These dudes are kids. And I'm not saying that to diss them. I'm saying it because they kids. These are not grown ass men. You can look at these dudes and see, like, man, these is kids for real. Now they call, excuse me, they called No Jumper, right? They called up to No Jumper and had a conversation with Adam about what took place during that hood vlog, right? So we're gonna get into that phone call after this, but before we get into that, I want you guys to hear Dub's take on the situation. This right here is a reactionary video, a reaction video. I'm just giving my thoughts. I'm just giving my thoughts and commentary. You know, that's it. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah, man. So tap the like button for your boy, man. It is what it is. Diving on in, King Supreme. You already know what the deal is. Yes.
Channel, new video.
New video. Hey, that's Dub's trademark, man. He should put that on a t-shirt. Hey, Dubs, man, if you watch it, man, you need to put that on the t-shirt. New video. Yeah, that'd be smooth for you, man. You know what I'm saying? Put that on some merch. Go ahead and print you up some t-shirts and some hats and put, you know what I mean? Get you some merch, big dog. New video. Oh yeah.
Well. I just watched the Compton Rick Rock video. Once again, shout out to Compton Rick Rock. I watched the video where Compton Rick Rock was reacting to that young Crip, young Beezy. And he called in to No Jumper. And he was expounding on the incident. He was explaining more this incident that occurred, that was caught on camera. And look, I want to say this right now, young Beezy. Stay away from the cameras. Don't do any interviews regarding this incident. The only people you owe an explanation to are your homeboys from your neighborhood. Going on the internet, retelling the story, now that we're a week away from it, now that you hear what commentators, whatever you want to call them, that YouTubers and people on social media, now that you hear what they have to say, you're now trying to, I don't know, put a fire out, give your side of the story. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's not a good look. In this interview that you did, this phone call that you had, you said that you had the thing on you.
Yeah, that was dumb. He should have never said I had the thing on me. He would have been better off just leaving it like it is, because if you had the thing on you, then you was really supposed to get busy. Now you don't have no excuse. See, we understand when you out of bounds and somebody roll up on you and they got blick and you don't, you know, you ain't gonna talk greasy. You're gonna do whatever you need to do to get up out of that situation. So he should have kept that to himself. Now you in a rock and a hard place because you don't want to, you don't want it to seem like, well, I was way over there and I didn't have it on me. But then if you had it on you, people are gonna say, well, how come you didn't use it? So now you're giving people more ammunition to criticize your cripping, to put your cripping, you know what I'm saying, to put your cripping on trial, man. Your cripping was already on trial. They're like, oh, you had the blick on you and you still stood there and did nothing while the message pressed you. That looks even worse. Now, if you got caught slipping and you said, I didn't know who hood it was, I thought it was a neutral zone, they pulled up with blick, they caught us slipping, that's more respectable. But to sit up there and say you had it on you and you still allowed the essays to press you, yeah, homie, that's a bad look.
You're just inviting cops to follow you around, look for a reason to pull you over when they see you. And whether you had it on you or not, you didn't use it. So you should have left that in the air. If you really had it on you, the people that were with you could co-sign that. But it's still not a good look. You got disrespected. And I've been rooting for you. And I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of raza had sympathy for you. But this phone call.
He don't need no sympathy. He said a lot of raza had sympathy for you. Man, he don't need no sympathy, man. Let this be a learning lesson for the youngster. Does he need sympathy? Absolutely not. Why does he need sympathy from the raza? He don't, nah. Now, it's one thing for you guys to say, okay, wooty woo, okay, cool, but sympathy, nah, he don't need that.
Oh, when you called in a no jumper, you lose sympathy like that. See, because you said, in the interview, you were showing a gang of love to the raza. I'm going to reiterate. You said you got love for all your CVs. You had a tattoo on you for the homie Smurf, your homie Smurf from 155. That garners a lot of appreciation and respect from the raza.
Now he did show, the raza, a lot of love in that video. He said he got a homeboy from 155. He got him tatted on his arm. Rest in peace. He said that was his boy. And he said, hey, man, I rock with Mexicans. I'm good with Mexicans. So a lot of Mexicans was like, okay, we a lot of Mexicans took their hat out to that. It was like, okay, he's cool with the raza. They was, they would, so, some of them said, okay, much respect because he got love for the raza, right? But damn, man, let's get to the conversation. Back to the story.
A week later, you call in and you say the avenues in Azusa are NK hoods. Look, man.
They are, Dubs. You're not from LA, bruh. You know how many hate crimes Azusa 13, you know how many times Azusa 13 got hit with hate crime charges against blacks? Do you know how many hate crimes the Avenues 13 gang committed against blacks? And we're talking about black civilians. There's no real black gangs in those areas like that. For the most part, there's really no black gangs in that area. And he said, well, they're calling them NK gangs. What planet do like Dubs, man, what planet do you live on, man? I understand you from Santa Barbara. But then I can't even blame this on Santa Barbara. You got Mexicans from LA that are in complete denial about Azusa 13 and Avenues 13 having a long history of hate crimes against black people. We're not making this up. Matter of fact, I'm going to show you the videos, Dubs. Now, when I show the videos, you know what they're going to say? Oh, man, those are old. If you don't show the videos, they're going to pretend like you're making it up. So the reality of it is they're going to gaslight you. You know what I mean? Looking to paint the picture like you're just making these things up. Everybody in LA County knows that Azusa 13 is NK, as well as Avenues 13, just like the Hawaiian Gardens. That's common knowledge if you grew up in Los Angeles. I don't have to make none of this stuff up. But what they're going to say is, oh, man, that's old. Listen, those gangs built their reputation off of Azusa 13, Hawaiian Gardens, and Avenues gang. They built their reputation off of hating black people. known as the hate gang. Canoga Park 13 in the San Fernando Valley, they're known as the hate gang. So you got a lot of Southsider gangs who built their reputation off of hate crimes against blacks. But according to Dubs, we're just making it up. According to Dubs, we're just making this up, and somehow it's not true. You know what Dubs sitting over there saying? No, 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 it's not true. Oh, it's very true. You know how many innocent black people got shot in Avenue's territory? You know how many innocent black people got attacked in the Azusa 13 territory? See, this is what I can't respect when you flat out, when you tell bold-faced lies. Then he's going to move the goalposts. Oh, well, that might be true, but that stuff is old. That's what they're going to say when they can't prove you wrong. Well, that probably happened, but it's old.
Avenues, there's a lot of appreciation and respect from the raza. Now, a week later, you call in and you say the Avenues and Azusa are NK hoods.
They are.
Look, man. I want to call upon the OG Blacks, Crips, Bloods. I want to call on them to set the record straight, man. This whole
call the OG Bloods and Crips for what? The OG Crips and Bloods, they really know it's true. Because if you was around in the 90s, in the early 2000s, you damn right the Avenues was a hate gang. The Hawaiian Gardens, Azusa 13. That was the height of racially motivated attacks against black civilians during the 90s and the early 2000s, and those in areas like that where there's little to no blacks. Call the OG Crips and Bloods for what? Because guess what, Dubs? If these OG Crips and Bloods are keeping it real with you, you know what they're going to tell you? No, Dubs, those gangs are known for being NK. Azusa 13 got a strong reputation for being NK. Avenues got a strong reputation for NK. The Hawaiian Gardens, the same thing. Reach out to the OGs for what? Because if they're being honest with you, they're going to say Dubs is actually true. If you grew up in Los Angeles and Los Angeles County, that's common information. Call the OG Crips and Bloods for what?
I want to call on them. Crips, Bloods.
For what?
I want to call upon the OG Blacks, Crips, Bloods. I want to call on them to set the record straight, man. This whole NK thing, that's new booty shit.
No, it's not.
That's a word. Those are letters that came out so long after there was actually a war.
Who cares about the letters? There is no war against blacks in the Avenues area. There's no blacks to go to war with over there. Same thing for Azusa 13. There's no blacks to go to war with over there. So what do you mean the war? Now, if you're talking about warfare between black and Mexican gangs in South Central and Compton, then now you're speaking about something. But we're talking about Azusa 13 and Avenues 13. There's no black gangs to go to war with in those areas. These were pure hate crimes against black civilians. Straight up hate crimes. There was no war going on with blacks in the Avenues area. There's no black gangs to go to war with over there. He said this is new booty stuff, Dubs. These racially motivated hate crimes was going down in the 90s and the early 2000s. It's not new booty stuff. A lot of these youngsters in their 20s now were barely being born. A lot of them most of them wasn't even born, man. Warfare between blacks and the raza in the 90s, listen, homie, these kids in their 20s now, they wasn't even born. These are 2000 babies. They're 23, 24, 25, going on 26. None of these people was around in the 90s. So no, this is not some new booty stuff. You started to hear about a lot of hate crimes from essays in like 93, 94. That's when you started to hear about this stuff. We're talking about 30 some years ago. From the 90s all into the early 2000s, you would hear about Azusa 13 and avenues and Hawaiian Gardens committing hate crimes against blacks. Listen, in East Los Angeles, the Ramona Gardens housing projects, this was 2014. They firebombed the apartments of, black civilians just for living in their neighborhood. This was 2014. Right? But I don't know what you're talking about when you say, oh, this is new booty stuff.
And I'm never going to go into what that war was really about. It really had nothing to do with race. There was a deeper thing behind it.
Whoa, it had nothing to do with race. Oh my God, I gotta blow his spot up. Oh, I gotta get you, Dubs. I gotta get you. It had nothing to do with race. So writing NK on the wall, firebombing the houses of innocent black civilians, that has nothing to do with race. Dubs, I had to get you with this one. It wasn't gang banging, it was racially motivated. There was no black gangs in the area for the Avenues gang to go to war with. What do you mean? Man, it had nothing to do with race, man. That was about something else. Never mind the fact that they wrote NK on the wall. Never mind the fact that they firebombed the houses of black civilians. That had nothing to do with race. Okay, Duz, what was it really about then if it wasn't about race? Writing NK on the wall and attacking black civilians, that ain't racially motivated? Oh my God, man. Oh my God.
So long after there was actually a war.
Hey man, I gotta rewind it. This dude is lying. Dubs, they firebombed the apartments of innocent black ladies who were not gang members or street people. They just happened to live in the neighborhood. They got attacked by random Mexicans and they started writing NK on the wall. But according to Dubs, that ain't got nothing to do with race.
On you for the homie Smurf, your homie Smurf for 155. That garners a lot of appreciation and respect from the raza. Now, a week later, you call in and you say the avenues in Azusa are NK hoods. Look, man, I want to call upon the OG blacks, Crips, Bloods. I want to call on them to set the record straight, man. This whole NK thing, that's new booty shit. That's a word. Those are letters that came out so long after there was actually a war. And I'm never going to go into what that war was really about. It really had nothing to do with race. There was a deeper thing behind it. I know a grip of dudes from Longo. Never, ever, ever heard them use the N-word with the A or the hard ER. I know a gang of dudes from Compton, from South Central, from Watts. Never heard them disrespect the blacks because they were black. They would disrespect hoods. All these dudes would disrespect hoods that were their rivals. I never, ever, ever once met a Southerner.
See, this is what I don't like. Now what he's saying is blacks are just making this up. Dubs is documented, man. You can look up the Avenues gangs. It's documented. You see hate crimes documented, bruh. I can show you videos where it's documented. I can show you people who got arrested for these hate crimes. What do you mean? I've been locked. I mean, I ain't never heard them say nothing racial. Dubs, you're not from Los Angeles. But then again, you ain't got to be from Los Angeles to understand that these gangs are notorious for committing hate crimes against blacks. You ain't even got to be from Los Angeles to know that. Stop lying, man. I know you want to defend your people. I get it. But at some point, you got to be honest.
That was just like the way it's portrayed. So when you say you had the thing on you, which you didn't use, and then you say these neighborhoods are NK hoods, there's no such thing as an NK hood. There might be little kids who write that shit on the wall.
What do you mean there's no such thing as an NK hood? Man, let me tell you, you got areas in Los Angeles, and these gangs are notorious for committing hate crimes against black civilians. Why? Because there's no black gangs in those areas to go to war with. So what do you mean there's no such thing as an NK? Do you know that Hawaiian Gardens was labeled the hate gang? The Hawaiian Gardens committed so many hate crimes against blacks that the LAPD labeled these guys the hate gang. Canoga Park 13 and the San Fernando Valley, they committed so many hate crimes that the LAPD labeled them the hate gang. What are you talking about? Man, ain't no such thing as no NK gang, man. The Rasa ain't, man, please.
So when you say you had the thing on you, which you didn't use, and then you say these neighborhoods are NK hoods, there's no such thing as an NK hood. There might be little kids who write that shit on the wall to be disrespectful to their enemies. I don't approve. I really don't. You know, I've said it a gang of times. The way I was schooled, you want to disrespect somebody, you do it with your hands. You don't do it with racial slurs or, you know, calling the Northerners something or calling the Bulldogs something. Nah, you handle your business. So you have those two things, and you know,
he said there's no such thing as hate gangs. These are just little kids writing stuff on the wall. Dub, these ain't little kids, man. I can show you graffiti from the 90s where a lot of these OGs promoted this NK thing. These are not little kids. My God, man, can you be honest for once? Stop lying. There's two things going on, Dubs. Either you don't know the truth or you're just lying and being dishonest. Which one do you guys think it is? He's doing two things. Either he's flat out lying about these SA gangs who are NK, or maybe he's just ignorant to the facts. Which one do you think it is?
and there's going to be people in the comments that are going to say, oh, those two neighborhoods are this and this and that. Listen. Calling the Bulldogs something. Nah, you handle your business. So you have those two things, and you know, and there's going to be people in the comments that are going to say, oh, those two neighborhoods are this and this and that. Listen. How could it be that in South Central, Compton, Watts, where the raza are really around a lot of blacks, you don't hear, I mean, there's gangbanging that goes on. It's gangbanging based off of gangs, based off of territory, off of neighborhoods, not based off of race. You don't ever hear that. Like, people talk about, oh, well, that area, that, man, you're talking about areas that don't even have blacks for the most part.
And that's why you know it's racial. Dude, it's like, I don't think he understands what he's saying. Bruh. Are you serious? He said, those are areas where you don't have blacks. Okay, that's how we know it's racial. You don't have blacks in those, you don't have black gangs in those areas, and you attack black civilians. That's how we know it's racial. These are just civilians minding their business. So in reality, that proves our point. Listen, homie, these so-called NK gangs exist in areas where there's no black gangs. That's why they feel so comfortable being racist, because there's no black people around. There's no black gangs in the area to punish them for these racially motivated attacks. Anytime you go to these areas where there's no black gangs, the essays are going to be very racist in those areas where there's no black gangs.
What is the based off of territory, off of neighborhoods, not based off of race? You don't ever hear that. Like, people talk about, oh, well, that area, that man. You're talking about areas that don't even have blacks for the most part. What is the? You're gonna talk about Azusa? How many black hoods are out there in the entire SGV? I mean, I can think of the PDLs. I can think of the Altadinas. I can think of the Durocs. Like, it's just. Stop pointing at areas that there aren't any blacks and say those are racist. Racist to what? There's nothing but raza out there, and maybe some Asians, some whites. I keep doing these videos, man, where it's just like there's such a small number of people that are trying to stir the pot. And I think
stirring the pot by being honest about what's going on. So telling the truth about what's going on is stirring the pot. See, this is what they want. This is what they want us to do. These essays want to commit these hate crimes and get us to shut up about it and pretend like it's not happening. Just shut up about it and pretend like it's not happening, essay. Nah, we ain't finna do that. They want us to shut up and be quiet about their racism. According to Dubs, we're stirring the pot by telling the truth.
This is what? There's nothing but raza out there, and maybe some Asians, some whites. I keep doing these videos, man, where it's just like there's such a small number of people that are trying to stir the pot. And I think it's up to OGs to step in, because I think in both communities that there's a lot of OGs that rightfully are trying to take care of family and stuff, but they still owe it to them youngsters. And maybe it's just that these youngsters don't
listen, man. I don't beef with nobody on the internet, man. This ain't no beef, man. I had to clear some things up because Dub said a whole lot of stuff in this video that's not true. There's no such thing as an NK gang. Really? Have you seen all the hate crimes that the avenues committed against blacks? Have you seen all the hate crimes that Azusa 13 committed against black folks? Really? Have you seen all the hate crimes that the Hawaiian Gardens 13 committed against black civilians? Are you serious? There's no such thing as an NK gang. Oh, man, ain't no such thing as an NK gang. Man, those are just little kids writing on the wall. Dub said, nah, man, ain't no such thing as no NK gang. Man, those are just little kids writing stuff on the wall, man. No, that ain't true. Man, those just little kids writing that stuff on the wall, dude. For real? You really gonna play with our intelligence like that, Dubs? Serio, ese.
listen now. You know, back in the days, we were fools, but we listened to the older homies because they were there.
Oh, man.
I know in the 90s, there was so many unalivings in the streets of California that it took away a generation of dudes who could have taught these youngsters different. And maybe that's why you see Mexicans sagging and using the N-word. Spray painting stuff like NK on the wall. I don't know, man. I just, look.
Let me be real with you. This new generation of essays, they're not the ones writing the NK on the wall. The NK on the wall came from the older generation. It's not really this new generation. This new generation of Mexicans, they want to be rappers. They say, "Hey, what up? What up? What up, my N? Hey, on the dead homies." This new generation of essays talk like us. All this NK stuff and this racism came from the guys your age. It didn't come from the youngsters. See, I don't like it when Dubs ain't, bro. You got to be honest. If you're from Los Angeles, you know the racist essays in Los Angeles are Dub's age. They come from Dub's generation. It's not these youngsters running around here. You don't even hear about all these gang wars nowadays with this new generation of essays. Of course, you hear about stuff happening here and there, but it's nowhere like it used to be. If you was around in the 90s and the early 2000s, that's when there was a lot of warfare between blacks and Mexicans. You really don't see that going on nowadays. I mean, you might have it in certain pockets in certain areas, but it's not going down like it was going down in the 90s and the early 2000s. So let's set the record straight, Dubs. Listen, when you're talking about essays, the most racist essays comes from Dub's generation. They're the same age as Dubs. These are the essays who was banging in the 90s, banging in the early 2000s. It's not the youngsters that was rolling. It's not the youngsters riding around spray painting NK. Listen, homeboy, Rodney in LA, or was it Valley Club? I believe it was Rodney in LA who did a hood vlog with the tortilla flats. That's a Compton gang. They used to write NK on the wall. Now, the only difference with them, the reason why they get more respect, because at least they wrote NK in the area where there were black gangs black gangs that would go to war with them. Now, when you from a gang like Avenues 13 and Azusa 13, man, there's no black population out there. So it's easy to write NK in areas where there's no blacks to press back on you, where there's no blacks that's going to come see about you for writing that on the wall. So the tortilla flats gets more respect because at least the tortilla flats did it in an area where you had Crips and Bloods. It's easy to write NK when you live in Glendale. It's easy to write NK when you live in Azusa. It's easy to write NK when you live in Canoga Park in the San Fernando Valley. It's easy to be NK in areas where there's no blacks. You talk about the Longos in Long Beach. They write NK, but guess what? There's blacks in that area to go to war with. But according to Dubs, nah, man, those are just little kids putting that stuff on the wall, man. There's no such thing as no NK gang. Them just little kids spray paint on the wall, dog.
Sir, BZ, I know in the 90s,
Oh.
there were so many unalivings in the streets of California that it took away a generation of dudes who could have taught these youngsters different. And maybe that's why you see Mexicans sagging and using the N-word. Spray painting stuff like NK on the wall. I don't know, man. Look. That youngster, BZ, he came off as a humble, good kid. Now he's insinuating that the interview was a setup. He's labeling two different barrios, NK barrios that aren't.
Right. Shout out to Cat 6. This generation of young essays wasn't even born when the OGs from your era, from your generation, was pushing NK. Rodney in LA spoke to the tortilla, he spoke to the Compton Barrio tortilla flats in Compton. They said it themselves. They said, we don't write no NK, man. That was our older homies doing that, man. We ain't on that. We just rapping, gang banging, and trying to get money. We ain't on that racist stuff. We don't write that on the wall. That's what the new generation of tortilla flats was saying. But they was real enough. They said our big homies used to be on that NK stuff, but we ain't on that. We don't push that. That's what the youngster said. The most racist Mexicans come from your generation. It's not these youngsters. You know the essays with the bald heads, the Pendletons, the Ben Davis. You did. If you listen, homie, if you grew up in the 90s, you remember the essays with them big ass Ben Davis's on and them, you know what I'm saying? The Nike Cortez with the big ass pants, with the bald heads, with the Vadio tatted on the back of their head. Those were the most racist essays in history. And
He's putting it out there for the world that he was strapped. I'm telling you, man, my advice, talk to your homeboys. Talk to your homeboys from your hood. Iron it out with them. Everyone else's opinion doesn't matter, man. But the more you talk,
all right, let's go, man. I mean, I can't say I can't say that I can't believe that Dubs would say that, because now when I show video on that, man, that was old, man.
But federal authorities are saying a Latino gang tried to drive every black resident out of a local city. More than 50 people were swept up in raids on the Barrio Azusa 13 gang today. KCAL's Rachel Kim is live in Azusa with the very latest on this. Rachel.
Sharon, law enforcement officials say this bust was the result of a 3-year investigation and that this is their latest crackdown on Latino gangs targeting blacks in the LA area. Now, a lot of residents here in Azusa know all about Azusa 13, and they're hoping this is now a start to bringing peace to these streets. Azusa's mayor says this city was once known as the hate capital of the valley because of the racial tensions between black and Latino residents. Tonight, federal authorities believe they've taken a big step in trying to stop it.
Nearly 20 years ago, the Azusa 13 gang adopted a racist principle to harass and use violence in an effort to drive African Americans out of the city of Azusa.
Today, federal and local authorities took down more than 50 people, alleged members of the Barrio Azusa 13 gang. They're the target in a federal racketeering indictment.
The indictment alleges that Azusa 13 gang exerts its influence through intimidation, extortion, robbery, acts of violence, including murder, and racially motivated attacks on African Americans.
Federal prosecutors said the gang has ties to the Mexican mafia and were responsible for drug trafficking and many other crimes. Lifelong Azusa resident Richard Sanchez had friends in Azusa 13.
They started running the streets, owning the streets, so to speak. When I was in high school, people used to brag about how they would run them out of Azusa.
Over the years, Sanchez has witnessed the gang's violence towards African Americans and believes the tension is just as strong today.
I really don't see too many blacks in Azusa, put it that way.
In fact, according to the latest U.S. Census, 64% of the city's residents are Hispanic, nearly 4% are black.
I think I'd like to see the peace, because our kids grow up in these streets.
Azusa's police chief hopes this bust will bring...
Hey, see, when you show Dubs his video, oh, man, that was old, man. But hold on, you said it was little kids doing it, Dubs. This stuff right here was happening in the early 2000s. But according to Dubs, man, those just be little kids writing that on the wall, man.
To the victim's family, he also says this is...
Now, let's go to the next one. I'm going to show you the Avenues gang. Check this out. Nah, man, it's the youngsters, man.
Which, although ethnically diverse, was predominantly Latino during the mid-90s. During this time, the area was controlled by a Latino street gang known as the Avenues. Investigators estimated that the Avenues had any 100 to 300 members, nearly all of them Latino.
Now, don't triple me, man. The audio was low, but I'm going to show you a lot of racially motivated attacks these guys did.
The gang was made up of several cliques, each claiming its own section of the neighborhood as territory. Among them was Avenues 43, a clique that claimed the area surrounding 43rd Avenue and Highland Park. Key members included Gilbert Lucky Saldana, Alejandro Bird Martinez, Fernando Sneaky Cazares, Porfirio Dreamer Avila, and Jesse Listo Diaz. At the time, Avenues 43 had about 20 to 40 active members. Avenues 43 was closely tied to another clique, Avenues 57, which claimed the area near 57th Avenue. Jose de la Cruz, also known as Clever, was a member of Avenues 57. Avenue members were often seen hanging out nearly every day around Montecito Park, which they controlled. Between 1995 and 2001, more African American families moved into Highland Park, which the gang openly resented. Members made it clear that they hated the increase in black residents and viewed Highland Park as exclusively theirs. The gang felt their community was being invaded. They would go on missions where they would commit crimes, look for ops, and paint graffiti. Much of that graffiti had racist messages and was often sprayed on the homes of black residents. On these missions, members were almost always armed and often carried police scanners. Avenue's members would meet regularly to discuss the gang's business and how they wouldn't allow African Americans to, quote, infest their neighborhood.
Now, they're going to say this is a video. Hey, man, it's documented, man. I know this to be true because I'm from Los Angeles. Somebody just happened to do a video about it. But there's news clips. There's news clips, fire bombings. I'm going to show you guys a video about the Hawaiian Gardens 13 being on some racist stuff.
Avenue's members would meet regularly to discuss the gang's business and how they wouldn't allow African Americans to, quote,
this is a race thing. When you firebomb somebody's house just for living in your community, that's racist. Now, it'd be one thing if gang members was trying to set up shop over there and you didn't want gang members to set up shop. That's understandable. But when you're just attacking civilians for living there, that's racial. 100%.
infest their neighborhood. The more the black population grew, the more violence followed. The gang would use whatever means
I don't know what's so with this video. The volume goes up and down. Work with me.
necessary to drive African Americans out of Highland Park, including threats, beatings, robberies, shootings, and even murder. They wanted to make sure black residents couldn't walk the streets, spend time in the local parks, or even pass through the neighborhood. Celeste Schaefer lived in Highland Park with her family from 1987 until 1997, and during that decade, they were relentlessly harassed by members of the Avenues gang. Celeste herself couldn't even run simple errands without being harassed. Walking to the corner store or stopping at a taco truck meant being confronted with slurs. Gang members would call her a black bitch and tell her that she didn't belong in the neighborhood and needed to leave. Her children were also constant targets.
See, according to Dubs, there's no such thing as NK. Dubs said, man, these are youngsters, man. That stuff wasn't even going on during wartime. Well, there was no black gangs for the Avenues to go to war with because there's no black gangs in the area. So what did the Avenues do? Attack random black civilians.
Daughters, Ebony and Celeste, were chased into a store by Avenues members who were screaming racial slurs at them. But it was her son, Don Petrie, who suffered the most. Don and his friends were harassed relentlessly. He was chased, assaulted, and constantly called racial slurs, with Avenues members making it clear that he wasn't welcome in their neighborhood. Years later, Don would identify Gilbert, Alejandro, and Porfirio as some of the gang members who had personally harassed and attacked him. Once at the Montecito Recreation Center, Don and his black friends were playing basketball inside, while Avenues members gathered outside at the park for a meeting. The man running the gym warned them to stay inside, because in his words, there were going to be problems. Eventually, Don and his friend...
Well, Dubs ain't the only one who denies this, though, so we can't keep saying Dubs is a dropout. You got active, listen, man, you got active gang members who are in complete denial about this themselves. Now, I've seen some Mexicans admit it, like, yes, it gets racial over there. But then you have a lot of Mexicans who pretend like it's not true, as if we're just making these things up. Hey, man, these hate crimes are documented. These are documented hate crimes. This is not word of mouth. This is not no he say, she say. It's documented. That's all I'm saying.
And slipped out the back to avoid getting harassed, but he never felt safe enough to go there again. Another time, Don and his friend Christopher Bowser were walking through a park when an Avenues member pulled a gun on them, telling them to get out of the neighborhood and never come back. Christopher himself endured more than 5 years of harassment and threats from Avenue's members because, in their words, he was black and had the audacity to walk through the neighborhood like it was his. He was beaten, called racial slurs, and told to stay out of Highland Park, but Christopher refused to move away or spend time in the area. At various bus stops around Highland Park, Don was threatened, told he wasn't welcome, and was even shot at. He stopped using those stops entirely. Outside a movie theater, Avenue's members hurled slurs at him and his girlfriend, threw trash cans at them, and ordered them out of the neighborhood. He never returned to that theater. The same happened at a grocery store. Don would also be harassed by gang members who were circling the neighborhood in their cars. On one occasion, Alejandro jumped out of a car with a gun and chased Don all the way back to his house. In another, gang members drove onto the wrong side of the street just to try to run him over. At a separate time, they tried running over both Don and Christopher when they were walking together. Outside a liquor store, Avenue's members threw bottles at them while shouting slurs and demanding they get out of the neighborhood. Don came home one day to find 2 chalk body outlines scrawled across his driveway, along with the words Avenue's 43rd, N-word stay out, and we don't want you here, N-words. By 1997, the relentless harassment and constant fear became too much. Terrified that her children might one day be killed, Celeste made the decision to move her family out of Highland Park. Around 1997,
Man, there were so many racially motivated attacks in this area. The Avenues are notorious for their hate crimes. It's documented. Everything that they're saying in this video, you can look it up yourself. These are documented hate crimes in the files of the LAPD.
1998, Alejandro, Porfirio, Jesse, and another Avenues member, Merced Cambero Jr., were driving through Highland Park when they saw a black man using a payphone outside Ramona Hall. One of them pointed him out and said, "Look at this N-word on the phone." They stopped the car and walked over to confront him. Porfirio struck the man in the head with a dent puller. The man tried to run, but the gang members chased him down, and when they caught up with him, they continued beating him. In 1998, at Sycamore Park, Jose and Merced were walking Jose's dog when a black student passed by. Merced suddenly set the dog on him, shouting, "Get him, get the N-word." Jose was also yelling racial slurs at the student. Luckily, the student managed to escape before the dog could reach him, and he wasn't physically harmed. In 1999, while hanging out at Montecito Park, Jesse, Gilbert, and Alejandro spotted a homeless black man walking through the park. They looked at each other and said, "Look at this N-word," before attacking him. During the beating, Gilbert pistol whipped the man so hard that his gun went off, and the sound of the gunshot caused them to scatter and run. There were other incidents at Montecito Park as well. Once, Avenue's members stormed into the gym where African Americans were playing basketball. They shouted slurs at them and eventually chased them out of the gym and into the street. On the night of April 18th, 1999, Gilbert, Merced, Alejandro, Fernando, Jesse, and Jose piled into a stolen Chevy van, carrying with them spray paint and a police scanner. Their plan for the night was to commit crimes, spray paint walls, and maybe even find some ops. Gilbert had a 9mm Ruger handgun, Merced had a .357 revolver, and Jose had a shotgun. Alejandro drove the van with Fernando riding shotgun. They spent hours cruising through Highland Park, stopping now and then to scrawl graffiti on walls. Eventually, they decided to call it a night and started heading back toward 43rd Avenue. But around 3:30 a.m., as they turned on to 52nd Avenue, Alejandro spotted Kenneth Wilson, a black man, trying to park his Cadillac after dropping off his nephew, Julius Williams, who had been with him at a club earlier that night. Pointing Kenneth out, Alejandro reportedly said, "Hey, you guys want to kill an N-word?" The others agreed without hesitation. Kenneth wasn't an op, and they didn't know him at all. Their main issue with him was his race. Alejandro double-parked the van. Gilbert, Merced, and Jose then jumped out with their guns, while Alejandro, Fernando, and Jesse stayed behind in the van to act as lookouts. At first, Kenneth's Cadillac pulled away, but then he circled back making a U-turn and driving slowly down 52nd Avenue toward the van. Then the three opened fire. Merced fired once with his .357, hitting Kenneth in the back of the neck. Jose unloaded 5 shotgun blasts into the Cadillac, and Gilbert fired at the car twice with his Ruger. The Cadillac swerved and crashed into a parked car. Merced's single bullet had severed Kenneth's carotid artery. He died within minutes. Afterward, the shooters ran back to the van and drove off to Ulysses Street, where Gilbert and Alejandro lived. On the way, Merced bragged that he shot first and hit Kenneth, saying that by the time the other guys fired their guns, Kenneth was already dead. Gilbert hid the guns at his house while Alejandro and Fernando got rid of the van. When the police got to the crime scene, they noticed that the Cadillac had a bunch of bullet holes and shotgun damage. The rear window was shot out. There were bullet marks on the trunk and the right rear side of the car, and a bullet hole in the rear passenger side door window.
See, they was trigger happy, man. They was just looking for problems. Yeah, man, they're just looking for problems, bro. Cause ain't no yeah, man, there's no black gangs in that area, man. Hit the like button.
Inside the car, investigators found shotgun pellets, fragments of bullet jackets, and shell casings. A firearms examiner later confirmed the 3 different weapons that were used in the shooting. After the shooting, Gilbert told his girlfriend, Anita Montano, that the police were looking for him for the murder and called Kenneth a derogatory racial slur in Spanish. Just 2 months before Kenneth was killed, on February 21st, 1999, Renee and Jaime Cerda were murdered by Saul Laudello, a member of the White Fence Gang. Saul was later convicted and sentenced to life in prison without parole for those killings. After the Cerda murders, Saul testified that he sold several firearms to Gilbert, who he first met in county jail back in 1997. Among the guns he sold was a 9mm Ruger. Gilbert himself admitted that he bought the weapon from Saul, and Jose also recalled Gilbert telling him that he'd gotten the 9mm from a White Fence Gang member he met in prison in 1997. Ballistics confirmed that the same 9mm Ruger Gilbert used in Kenneth's murder was the same weapon used in the Cerda killings. The bullets and shell casings from Kenneth's Cadillac were fired from the very same Ruger that was used to kill the Cerdas. In July 2000, Tanya Alleman and her black boyfriend Mike Sampson were walking through Highland Park when a car full of Hispanic men drove past and yelled a racial slur in Spanish at Mike. The couple kept walking, but the car quickly pulled over. 2 men jumped out, and one of them was holding a red metal club. As they approached Mike, one shouted, "F***ing N-word," and threatened to kill him. Tanya ran across the street to call the police. When she looked back, she saw Mike being beaten with the club. After the assault, the attackers ran back to their car.
Man, there's so many documented cases when it comes to hate crimes in this area by this particular gang. It's crazy. But you know, Dub said, "Oh man, there ain't no hate crimes." Man, those are just little kids writing on the walls, man. Nah, man, this was going on in the 90s and the early 2000s. Essays from your generation. All these dudes are in their 40s and 50s now. The essays that was around when warfare was, listen, when all that warfare was going on between blacks and Mexicans, we're talking about essays that's in their 40s and 50s. These racially motivated hate crimes were committed by essays in the 90s, it's early 2000s. Not these young essays that you see nowadays using the N-word and saying on the dead homies. Nah, it don't come from their generation. And that's not to say that they're not racist. The thing is, they're not as racist as their OG homies was. Because back in the 90s and the early 2000s, you heard about a lot of hate crimes, and not just hate crimes, a lot of gang warfare between blacks and Mexicans all across the city. The only difference is there's no black gangs in this area for the avenues to go to war with. So what they do is they go to war with other Mexican gangs and pick on black civilians. Yeah.
And set off. Later, Tanya and Mike gave police a detailed description of the men and their vehicle. That same night, an LAPD officer spotted a car that matched the description and pulled it over. One passenger bolted and ran, but the driver, Fernando, stayed behind and identified himself. Inside the car, officers found 2 police scanners in the same red metal club that Tanya described. At a separate incident, Jesse and Gilbert saw a black teenager standing outside a Jack in the Box in Highland Park. Jesse walked up to him and said, "What's up?" an N-word before pulling a knife and trying to stab him. The teenager spotted the blade just in time and ran straight into the street and into oncoming traffic to get away. Another resident, Dagan Wallace, also became a target of Avenue's harassment. On September 3rd, 2000, Dagan was in his yard listening to music when several gang members walked up.
Moses is all right, man. I ain't mad at Moses, man. I'm just doing this for educational purposes. This ain't to spread no hate. This is not to get black people to feel a certain way about, Mexicans, man. We're just showing you documented facts about certain gangs in certain areas. So we're doing this for educational purposes, right? That's it. That's all. Let's get back. Excuse me. Let's get back to the content, though.
To him and made it clear who they were. One pulled out a gun, pointed it at him, and said, "What's up, N-word?" Terrified, Dagan ran.
See, people will take that as disrespect, though, because when you see obvious racism and somebody tell you that it's not racism, then you're going to get offended. You're going to look at that as disrespect. My thing is this: when they do racist stuff, we just got to be honest about it, man. We can't sit up here and make it seem like it was something else. These were clearly, let me say this again, these were clearly racially motivated attacks. It had everything to do with race. This right here had nothing to do with gangbanging. This was racial. So when I say the Avenues 13 gang has a strong reputation of being racist and committing racially motivated attacks, it's documented, man. Can't nobody go against that. The same thing with the Azusa 13. It's documented. They committed several hate crimes. If you look up the LAPD files about Mexican gangs with hate crimes, you're going to see the Avenues 13 pop up. You're going to see the Azusa 13 pop up. You're going to see the Canoga Park gang and the San Fernando pop up. You're going to see Hawaiian Gardens pop up. You're going to see the 204th Street gang in Torrance pop up. You're going to see the Tortilla Flats in Compton pop up. You're going to see the Longos and Long Beach pop up. I mean, just to name a few, and there's more gangs that I could add to the mix, but just to name a few, all those Mexican gangs that I just named, they're notorious for their hate crimes against Black Americans. It just is what it is. These are documented facts.
Inside and called the police. A short time later, he was confronted again, this time as he was getting out of his car. The gang hurled more slurs, even calling him a monkey. In the fall of 2000, Jimmy Israel was living in Highland Park with his brother and sister, Patricia. The siblings often used walkie-talkies to stay in touch, but their conversations were constantly hijacked by voices identifying themselves as Avenues members. On one occasion, the intruder cut in and said, "You N-words need to get off our block. We are going to burn down your house." Similar threats were made again and again. Jimmy eventually realized that the people breaking into their calls were the Hispanic men who gathered regularly at a house just down the street. Then in October 2000, the threats turned into violence. Patricia and Jimmy's nephew were riding bikes near that same house the gang members gathered at. Then Alejandro came out, knocked Patricia off her bike, and began beating and stomping on her. Jimmy quickly rode his bike to his sister and rushed over to help, but Alejandro pulled a box cutter and swung it at him. Jimmy dodged the blade and took cover behind a car, while another gang member continued assaulting his sister. During the attack, the man with the box cutter shouted, "I am tired of seeing you N-words on my block. It's time for you N-words to get out of here. I don't want you over here." When Jimmy got home, his mother called the police, but even the responding officer faced harassment. When he went to the gang house to investigate, members mocked him, calling him an N-word while laughing. Pedro Avalar, a Latino man, had been living in Highland Park since around 1994. He was close friends with Christopher Bowser, Although Pedro knew about the avenues and was even friendly with some of its members, his friendships with black people made him a target.
See, he was cool with black people, man, and he was a target. You know, the avenues targeted him because he was cool with blacks, and they didn't like the fact that he was cool with black people. And these are just, you know, black people just living over there, just going to work and going to school. We're no gang. These wasn't gang members. These wasn't gang members or gang bangers. Let me put it like that.
When he went to the gang house to investigate, members mocked him, calling him an N-word while laughing. Pedro Avalar, a Latino man, had been living in Highland Park since around 1994. He was close friends with Christopher Bowser. Although Pedro knew about the avenues and was even friendly with some of its members, his friendships with black people made him a target. Whenever Pedro walked around Highland Park with Christopher or his other black friends, Avenues members would go after him. They called him an N-word lover and warned that if he didn't stop hanging around with black people, they would kill him. Once, when Pedro and Christopher were driving through the neighborhood in Pedro's truck, a group of Avenues members pulled up alongside them, punched Christopher in the face, and shouted racial slurs at Pedro. On October 26, 2000, Christopher himself was attacked by Porfirio and Alejandro while waiting at a bus stop on Figueroa Street. He reported the assault to LAPD, but initially...
Well, we can't say it goes both ways because blacks don't attack Mexicans just for being Mexicans. Now, they'll attack Mexican gang members if they look like rivals, yes, but black people never firebomb Mexicans just for living in their community. So, no, in that regard, no, it doesn't go both ways. Now, when you're talking about gang violence and back and forth shootings, yes, that goes both ways, but racially motivated attacks, nah, that don't go both ways. That's a one-sided thing. And that's not to say that blacks don't retaliate when stuff happens. What I'm saying is blacks don't target Mexican people just for being Mexican. Oh, we're going to attack them just because they're Mexican and they're living in a predominant black community. It don't work like that, bro. I got to be honest with you. Now, if you a black man and you move to the avenues or you move to, you know, certain parts of, you know, let's say, oh, you can't forget about the El Monte Flores, right? And El Monte, very racist Mexican gang too. Can't forget about the El Monte Flores out there in El Monte. You get caught walking in El Monte, and the man say he's gonna pull up on you and say, "What you doing over here, Holmes?" Them El Monte Flores don't like black people being in their community at all.
Refused to press charges, scared that Avenues members would retaliate. That changed when Alejandro later pulled out a gun and pointed it at him. Christopher then decided to cooperate. On November 30th, he identified Alejandro in a photo lineup. On December 3rd, Alejandro was arrested for the assault. Not long after, Christopher called Angela Cortez, the mother of his daughter.
Somebody say, I see why they ally with the Aryan Brotherhood in prison. Look at all this stuff right here. Yeah, makes sense, don't it?
Angela recalled that he sounded anxious and uneasy. The call came about a week after their daughter's birthday, and Christopher told her he wanted to see his child because the Avenues were after him. Only 8 days after Alejandro's arrest, Christopher was waiting at the same bus stop he was attacked at weeks earlier. This time,
Pico Rivera too. The essays out there in Pico Rivera don't like blacks being in their community either. You did. Whittier's the same thing. It's the same thing in Whittier. It's the same thing in Norwalk. So there's a lot of areas in Los Angeles County where you're going to run into some racist ass essays. I'm just putting my people up on game.
Porfirio walked up and shot him several times in the head, killing him instantly.
You see how they killed this black man for being on a bus stop? Now, my thing is, what was you still doing over there? You know you ain't strapped. You know you have no backup. The best thing he could have did was to leave that community. One man can't go up against a whole gang. One man cannot go up against a whole gang. That dude should have left that community a long time ago.
Alejandro in a photo lineup. On December 3rd, Alejandro was arrested for the assault. Not long after, Christopher called Angela Cortez, the mother of his daughter. Angela recalled that he sounded anxious and uneasy. The call came about a week after their daughter's birthday, and Christopher told her he wanted to see his child because the Avenues were after him. Only 8 days after Alejandro's arrest, Christopher was waiting at the same bus stop he was attacked at weeks earlier. This time, Porfirio walked up and shot him several times in the head, killing him instantly. Just 5 days later, on December 16th, investigators recorded a prison call between incarcerated Avenues member Dusty Chavez and Porfirio. In that conversation, Porfirio called Christopher a racial slur in Spanish and admitted that he and Alejandro assaulted him in October. Porfirio acknowledged that Christopher reported the assault and identified Alejandro, and that police raided Alejandro's home. He then told Dusty that,
oh, well, say they said they killed him because he snitched. Now, what you think a civilian gonna do? So they jumped him for no reason several times. He made a police report, and the essay said that his house got raided because of what the black dude said to the cops. He's a civilian. What are you expecting to do? So they said, okay, the Mayate still lives in the neighborhood. When we get him, we gonna take care of him. You know what I mean? We're going to lay him down when we catch him in the streets. And that's exactly what they did. Now, my thing is this. Why would he still be living in that community? You know they was attacking you. You know you reported. You know you made a police report. They're going to get you. And then you're sitting on a bus stop? Man, that's crazy.
that fool's gone. On November 3rd, about a month before Christopher's death, Anthony Prudhomme, another black man living in Highland Park, was shot in the head while sleeping in his own bed. An LAPD officer investigating the scene suspected that Christopher and Anthony's murders were connected and requested ballistics testing. Firearms expert Diana Paul later confirmed that both Christopher and Anthony were killed with the same .25 caliber gun.
Damn, so they used a .25 caliber in both of these dudes' death. See, this is how you get caught up. So they shot Christopher Bowser on a bus stop and shot this dude at his house. And they committed both murders with the same gun. These were Avenues members.
That Christopher reported the assault and identified Alejandro, and that police raided Alejandro's home. He then told Dusty that fool's gone. On November 3rd, about a month before Christopher's death, Anthony Prudhomme, another black man living in Highland Park, was shot in the head while sleeping in his own bed. An LAPD officer investigating the scene suspected that Christopher and Anthony's murders were connected and requested ballistics testing. Firearms expert Diana Paul later confirmed that both Christopher and Anthony were killed with the same .25 caliber gun. David Elmer Cruz, a former Avenues gang member, told a state court that Porfirio admitted to killing Christopher and that the murder was a hit ordered by Alejandro because Christopher had reported the October assault and was expected to testify. Eventually, Porfirio was convicted in state court of murdering both Christopher Bowser and Anthony Prudhomme. Just weeks after Kenneth Wilson's murder, Jesse shot an off-duty police officer outside a Jack in the Box. He was
all right. Now let's go over here to S. Wiggins TV, man. He gonna speak to a dude that lived in the Hawaiian Gardens area, right? Check this out.
Hey man, the Hawaiian Gardens, man, you might look them up, man. They got a whole segment on them. They was vicious, you know what I mean? They really had hatred towards blacks. So they were pulling up on us.
This is S. Wiggins TV, man. You know, S. Wiggins TV do a lot of hood commentary. You know, he's like a hood historian where he breaks down the history about certain gangs and what certain gangs are known for. Now, this is a dude right here from I forget where he's from, man. He's from 725 Hustlers, Lakewood. Lakewood is right next door to Hawaiian Gardens, but this dude right here is telling you how much the Hawaiian Gardens, how much they hated black people and how they was attacking black people and throwing fire bombs at black people just for living in their community. I'm gonna let him tell you.
You know, saying F blacks. You know, they wasn't saying from, and like, you know, and they was trying, when they jump out, and they was trying to kill you. You know what I mean? And there was a couple of incidences. And
tell me the worstest experience that you had from Hawaiian Gardens, man. No names, no incrimination. We back with some more dope content, dope interview of it.
that you shining the light, man, on certain things that other people is really not tapping into. And you know, it's a market, and it's a story, man. It's a good story.
Now these dudes call themselves the Lakewood Hustlers, man. That's right next door to Hawaiian Gardens. So they end up picking up some of the beef with the Hawaiian Gardens, right? Because a lot of them was living in the Hawaiian Gardens, so they had to band together, you know what I mean, to deal with the essays, man, because the essays was attacking random black folks out there, bro.
Nah, good looking, bro. At least somebody see it, man, you know? Yeah, man. That's what it is, man. Well, you know, we want to get to the tip top, you know. We going to get into your life, you know, what you had to go through, because I'm hearing some cold things that you'd have been through, you know what I'm saying? So before we get into that, listen, let's talk a little bit about the hood, man. You know, how did the 725 Hustlers start? Is it 7 Deuce 5? Give us the whole rundown.
Yeah, it's 7 Deuce 5 Hustlers, you know what I mean? And it was a generation before me that, you know, my mother was dating a guy named Spanky, and he was one of the original founders. And, you know, that's my little brother's dad. And so, you know, it was in my household, and but they were the first generation of it, you know what I'm saying? It's like a 88, 89 type of thing, you know what I mean? The introduction of it. So what happened was like, you know, we migrated, me as far as my family, we migrated from the hub and the dub. You know, we lived in Compton, and we lived on 90th and Hooper and Watts also. Before we got to this area, to Lakewood.
Oh, okay. So that area, you know, just so we got a clarification, the area that we referring to where your hood was at it's not Cerritos, it's Lakewood actually.
It's Lakewood. It's Lakewood, actually. It's right there. The borderline, the borderline divider would be the Long Beach Town Center.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And, they don't mention it. You know what I mean? And so that was my loyalty. And the Vadio Hawaiian Gardens.
Right.
We were confronted with the Vadio Hawaiian Gardens.
Right.
This is a Mexican gang that was widely known for their hate crimes against blacks. And so they've been around since the 1950s. They helped start the Mexican Mafia and things like that. So they were deeply rooted. This is one of the only gangs in LA County, period, that they own a whole city as their gang. You know what I mean? The Vadio Hawaiian Gardens. So we move close in a proximity in Lakewood, and Lakewood is two sides. It's it's a upper class side, and then it's the side that started accepting Section 8 in the late 80s and early 90s. So we migrated within that. We moved from Compton, migrated to Lakewood, and being confronted with the racism, we was confronted with the racism. It was just like they was pulling up saying F-U-C-K niggers. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Pardon my French. They wasn't saying where we from and stuff like that. So and it was incidents that kids was
he was saying they was pulling up saying F-N words. They wasn't pulling up, hey, where you from? No, they said no F-N words. That's the type of time that the Hawaiian Gardens was on. According to Dubs, there's no NK gangs. These are just little kids. There's no NK gangs. These are just little kids writing that on a wall. Really? Come on, Dubs.
It's hard and things like that. So we started out running from them, and we end up basically banding together with the hustler thing because of that. Because of, you know what I'm saying, due to the pressure from them, we kind of formed the hustler thing, which it was a conglomerate of people that's from different places. So you might have a guy that's from 7 Deuce 5 Hustlers, but he's by way of Hard Time, or he's by way of a Compton Crips or something like that, because you know what I'm saying. So that's where his family originally from. So a lot of brothers, once we got to YA, a lot of brothers went back to their normal to their natural origin, instead of pushing.
I'm gonna show you the gang he talking about. I'm gonna go back to that. I'm gonna go back to what he's saying, but he's telling you the issues they had with the Hawaiian Gardens. This is it right here. Here it is.
Welcome to Hood War Stories.
Hey, make sure that you guys bless the like button. Here it is. Listen, I did this show spare the moment, man. I wasn't even gonna do a show. I made some runs. I just got back to the house not too long ago. I said, you know what? Let me do a live stream, because on my way to the house, I heard Doug's video. I said, oh, nah, man, I got to talk about this. Dubs is being ridiculous. I got to talk about it.
In this episode, I'll be discussing Hawaiian Gardens 13. Bar Hawaiian Gardens 13, also known as VAG, is a Mexican-American gang located in Hawaiian Gardens, California. Hawaiian Gardens covers 1 square mile in southeast Los Angeles County and carries the distinction as the smallest city in the county. About 14,000 residents.
Nah, man, ain't no such thing as no NK Mexican gang, man. Those just little kids who be writing on the wall, man. Nah.
Live in the town that was incorporated in 1964. In the 1920s, the area was rural, and the city took its name from a small refreshment stand decorated with.
See, it don't matter if Dubs is a PC. I heard a lot of essays and Mexicans deny these facts. So, anyway, it don't matter.
Palm fronds and bamboo that sell sandwiches and soft drinks spiked with moonshine. Most of the city's income comes from a gambling casino. Traces its beginnings to the 1940s. And Luis Hierba Flores, the founder of the Mexican Mafia, was from the VAG gang.
So the founder of the Mexican Mafia was from the Hawaiian Gardens gang. So it shows you how deep rooted these guys are in gang culture. You dig? Let's get back to it though.
The gang adopted the cartoon character of the Hawaiian Punch Man as their logo. Historically, their main rivals are Artesia 13 and the Chivas 13 gang. But they're most widely known for their hate crimes against Black Americans. A Hawaiian Gardens Latino gang member was shot to death in the late 1980s. Locals blamed the killing on Black gang members, though no one was ever arrested for that shooting. Allegedly in 1989, a few Long Beach Crips killed OG Buzzer from BAG.
So they said way back in 1989, some Crips killed an OG from Hawaiian Gardens, and they hated Black people ever since. So instead of going to war with the Crips, you know what they said? We're just going to attack any Black person that moved to our neighborhood. So word on the street is an OG from Hawaiian Gardens got killed by an OG Crip back in 1989. And ever since then, they hated Black people. Hated Black people so much to say, we're going to attack random civilians. Never mind the fact that a Crip killed our homie. We're going to attack random Black people because we hate them that much.
Buzzer was shot in the stomach with a 12 BAG. Allegedly in 1989, a few Long Beach Crips killed OG Buzzer from BAG. Buzzer was shot in the stomach with a 12-gauge shotgun and succumbed to his injuries. There was little fallout because Black gangs had not taken root in the city, which had very few Black Americans at the time. That changed as more Black Americans moved to the city in the mid-90s. Although Hawaiian Gardens had a higher poverty rate than the county as a whole, it offered cheap housing, a multi-city school district, and a thriving commercial strip along Carson Boulevard. What the newcomers did not anticipate was the backlash from a local gang determined to keep Blacks off his turf. From 1995 through 1997, more than 36 hate crimes were committed against Black Americans in Hawaiian Gardens. At first, the gang roughed up Black teenagers walking home from school. The attacks soon moved to Black American homes. Several homes were hit by Molotov cocktails.
You see how they was firebombing? Look at this.
First, the gang roughed up Black teenagers walking home from school. The attacks soon moved to Black American homes. Several homes were hit by Molotov cocktails. Gang members threatened Black residents as they left stores, walked on the streets near their houses, or ate at fast food restaurants. They repeated a simple message: get out of our neighborhood.
NK right there. BK, CK, and NK. Hawaiian Gardens 13, Holmes. See, that's that NK on the wall. N-word killer.
Neighborhood Nick, usually underscored by the most common racial epithet. Virgil Henry never had a chance to get out of the neighborhood. He lived in Van Nuys and was headed to his parents in Hawaiian Gardens. When he stepped off a bus onto Carson Boulevard, he was walking to his parents' home when at least 10 Latino adults and teenagers chased him. He ran across 4 lanes of traffic into the parking lot of a busy strip mall. A driver that was stopped at a traffic light told police they heard Virgil shout repeatedly, "What did I do?" As he ran, he was gaining distance on his attackers until he tripped in the parking lot just behind a coffee shop. Shoppers saw the mob, which included women and men, stomp and kick Virgil, then bash his head with an aluminum baseball bat. A witness testified that when she stood over Virgil to assist him, he appeared shocked that a white person came to his aid. Prosecutors gathered enough evidence.
Man, it's something when a white man got to save you from a bunch of racist essays, man. And it ain't funny. He was getting attacked by some essays and a white man saved him. He said, damn, I never thought a white man would, you know what I'm saying? Just imagine that. You getting attacked by a bunch of Sereno, Southsider, racist Mexicans, and a white man comes to back you up.
Witness testified that when she stood over men and stomp and kick Virgil, then bash his head with an aluminum baseball bat. A witness testified that when she stood over Virgil to assist him, he appeared shocked that a white person came to his aid. Prosecutors gathered enough evidence to pursue.
Maybe it was a woman. Well, he was shocked that he was shocked that a white excuse me. He was shocked that a white person came to his aid. Let me put it like that.
Charges against only one of the attackers, Carlos Lucero, who was seen striking Virgil with the bat, was convicted of the murder in 1999 and is serving 16 years to life in prison. Carlos Lucero was not only a VHG gang member, but was also the son-in-law of a Mexican mafia lieutenant. Let's rewind to the previous year. Martin Hammond was the first hate murder victim. He was gunned down one day in October 1996 as he walked on Norwalk Boulevard. Martin had grown up in Hawaiian Gardens. He was well known from his days as a football star at Artesia High School, but his local hero status did not spare his family from violence. Their house, which had been shared by 4 generations of the family since 1980, and 2 cars were set ablaze. The vandalism was followed by Martin slain. Rudy Villa, from the hate gang, was convicted in 1998 of the murder. Another VHG gang member was awaiting trial.
Now you see how their hatred for blacks runs deep. Now, they homie got killed by an OG Crip back in 1989. Instead of them saying, all right, we're going to deal with the Crips, they said, nah, we're going to attack random black people in this area, black civilians at that. You know, so they're going to use that as an excuse for their racism. Well, blacks killed our OG homie. So guess what? We're going to attack every black in our community that we see. All because the Crips killed our OG homie way back in 1989.
In the third of Hawaiian Gardens hate murders, like Virgil slain, it occurred in 1997. Demario Young was shot just after getting out of his van in front of a relative's apartment building. Alberto Martinez, also known on the street as Badger, was arrested after he shot himself in the leg in a separate incident. Police tests show that Alberto was wounded by the same pistol used to kill Demario. The city's hate crimes have happened both in spite of and often because of its increased integration, in one case recorded by the County of Human Relations Commission.
All right, man, I don't want to keep stretching this out for too long. You get the picture, man. There were several, and these were different gangs. I showed you Azusa 13. Azusa 13 has harmed several innocent blacks. Azusa 13 is in the San Gabriel Valley. So we did Azusa 13. They committed a lot of hate crimes. Hawaiian Gardens 13 committed a lot of hate crimes. The Avenues 13 committed a lot of hate crimes. The Canoga Park gang in the San Fernando Valley, they're known for their hate crimes. But according to Dubs, these are just little kids writing on the wall. Ain't no such thing as no NK Mexican gang. Nah, these are just kids, man, writing on the wall.
A black man was beaten while washing the car. When his attackers found out the car actually belonged to a Latino friend, they beat the Latino man for being friends with.
Yeah, one of the founders of the Mexican Mafia is from the Hawaiian Gardens gang. So, yeah.
The Black American. At Way Out Ministries, which is a Christian recreation center and school whose members have included gang members and their children. Teenagers say their friendships crossing racial lines angered the gang. One 14-year-old said he defied his 2 older brothers, who were both VHG gang members, by inviting black friends to his family's apartment. His mother stood and watched as they played Nintendo. When the older brothers came home, she yelled, and the black kids had to run out the back and jump off the balcony. The threats grew so severe that in 1998, the city school district arranged special bus services for black Americans, and police would trail children walking home to protect them from racial attacks. In the years that followed,
you know it's bad when they gotta bust these kids, so that's crazy, man. But yeah, this is the type of stuff, and people who ain't from, and the thing about it is this, man, you got a lot of black people from LA who don't really know about this, because a lot of blacks from Los Angeles never been to the Hawaiian Gardens area. LA is a big city, so a lot of people never see. You got to think a lot of this stuff was happening in the 90s, so a lot of black people didn't even know that this stuff was going on. You had to hear about stuff like this through word of mouth. See, nowadays you got the internet, so information spreads fast. But see, back in the 90s, I didn't even know about Hawaiian Gardens. I never went to the Hawaiian Gardens area. I never had a reason to go over there. So I never knew about the racially motivated attacks until years later. Like I said, in the 90s, everything was about word of mouth. You couldn't just go to YouTube and you know how the information spreads fast now. There was no YouTube back then. There was no social media. So everything traveled through word of mouth.
The city's hate crimes dwindled. Many believe that the arrest and imprisonment of several gang members has had a big impact in such a small town. Others think that there are fewer targets. At least 7 black families that were hate crime victims moved.
I don't think black people knew, though. This is what I'm saying. I don't think the black people who moved to those areas knew. See, they didn't have, listen, back then, they didn't have access to information like we have access to information nowadays, right? So they didn't know. You know, they was up for a rude awakening, but they didn't know. They didn't realize they was moving into a racist area until they got there.
Away. Fast forward to June 20th, 2005. A black man was helping a friend fix up his home on Joylett Street. This was the day 2005. A black man was helping a friend fix up his home on Joylett Street. This was a dangerous thing to do. The black man would later testify in court that a man with horn tattoos on his head approached him and offered to sell him drugs. When the victim refused, the horn man later identified as Seppi, produced a gun. The victim tried to block Seppi's arm as the first bullet narrowly missed the victim's head. Seppi continued to fire the weapon, striking the victim in the shoulder and the buttocks as the victim ran away. The OSS gang unit had obtained a positive identification of the suspect with horn tattoos on his head from a photo lineup shown to the victim. Now they began their search for Seppi to arrest him for the shooting. 4 days later, at around 3 p.m., Deputy Ortiz was driving through Hawaiian Gardens on his way to deliver some papers when he spotted Seppi. As Deputy Ortiz tried to stop the gang member, Seppi ran down a narrow alley towards the gang-controlled apartment complex. As Deputy Ortiz waited for other deputies to arrive, he noticed one of the apartment doors was standing open. A few moments earlier, Seppi had also noticed the open door before the deputy arrived.
So you see what's going on out there, man. He said Batman, South Central Batman again. Even back in the day when I was in LA, I was worried about the Hawaiian Gardens in Azusa. Yeah. Right. See, you didn't know about this back in the 90s, right? You didn't know about it, right? They just didn't know. So they found out the hard way moving into these areas, man. You know, it's an unfortunate thing, man, but it just is what it is.
He ran inside the apartment and hid behind the open door. As the deputy approached Seppi's hiding place, the gang members shot Ortiz in the head at close range. Shortly after, there was gang graffiti on the walls that boasted of the deputy's murder. VAG gang members even wrote a rap song about the incident. 8 gang members were arrested on federal and state charges.
Then you want to make rap songs. They made a rap song about it. Like, you hate black people so much. Why do you want to rap?
63 of those arrested were pursued to 5 federal indictments, which named a total of
like, seriously though, like, why do you want to rap? Like, you shouldn't want to do anything that black people do if you hate them so much. The last thing you should be doing is rapping if you hate black folks.
145 and is plagued with gang activity. The VAG gang's main enemy is the Artesia 13 gang.
Shout out to everybody. Now listen, man, I'm not gonna drag this one out, man. I'm getting ready to the narrator a joke. Florencia 13 is another one. Yeah, they was committing hate crimes. That's a fact, right? But to see the difference between them and, you know, you at the East Coast doing a thing, they was going, you know, there was a lot of attacks back and forth. So there was somebody to take up the fight. But when you in an area like this, there's no black gangs to give them any type of pushback like that. So they get away with attacking civilians. Excuse me. You know?
Artesia was considered an enemy because it also tried to control areas in which to conduct its business. On January 13th, 2008, at around 8 p.m., Sauna, who was in a wheelchair, was wheeling himself down Eli Avenue when a green van drove up to him. The men inside proceeded to ask him where he was from. When Sauna said he's from nowhere, the man responded, "Yeah, you're sporty from Artesia."
Hit the like button, man. Show some love. So Let's go back. I'm gonna take it back. But see, that's what was going on, man. The Hawaiian Gardens gang. So we're gonna go back over here.
Pushing the green rag and pushing what we was claiming on the streets. You know what I mean?
Right. So let's get into that for a second. Like, what different what different hoods, of a melting pot did you guys have in 7 Deuce 5? What hoods was they from?
Well, no, I can't really not to really just get into. I don't really want to I don't really want to because it's not enough history with them. I don't have enough history of their.
Now, before we get into that, I'm gonna show you this right here. This is East LA. Now I'm showing you stuff from all different sides of LA, man.
7 Los Angeles men were charged with firebombing African Americans living in a heavily Hispanic area in 2014. They were charged in a 10-count indictment unsealed in federal court Thursday. They were also charged for their roles in a racketeering enterprise that used violence and intimidation. Justice reporter Paula Reed is in Washington to discuss it all. Paula, the Justice Department says this is one of the largest civil rights indictments in local history. What are prosecutors alleging?
That's right, Elaine. This is one of the biggest cases that they've brought in under the civil rights statute in quite some time, which is also part of why it took so long to actually get this indictment, approximately 2 years. Prosecutors allege a barbaric plan to attack and intimidate African-American residents of the Ramona Gardens housing complex in East Los Angeles. Now, this complex is about 95% Hispanic and about 3% African-American. First, this group started with threats, and then they moved on to firebombs. And Elaine, they say this was a very sophisticated plot. They purchased disguises, gloves, bomb-making materials, and then they divided themselves into 2 teams, and everybody had a very specific task. One person, his job was to break the windows. The next person would light the firebomb, and the final guy would throw the firebomb inside the residence. They were even savvy enough to leave their cell phones behind to avoid being able to be traced by law enforcement.
So disturbing.
See, this right here was East LA. The projects, Ramona Gardens. They didn't want blacks living in their neighborhood. So they firebombed the apartments that they knew blacks was living in. So, but according to Dubs, nah, man, there ain't no NK gangs, man. These just little kids writing on the walls, man.
Men, Paula, I understand, were also charged with racketeering, and the indictment says that families, including children, were among the victims. What can you tell us about that?
That's right. Many of the residents that were targeted, children were home. Many of them were minors. In fact, Elaine, one woman, she was sitting with her baby on the couch in the living room right before the firebomb was thrown into her house. Now, other families who weren't specifically firebombed, they reported that mixed race children were verbally threatened by members of this gang. So it's clear that children were certainly not spared from this intimidation.
Do we know, Paula, has this gang been on law enforcement's radar before?
Yes, the Hazard Street Gang has been on law enforcement's radar since about the 1940s. They are described as a multi-generational Latino street gang that originated in East Los Angeles, and they were particularly focused on driving African-American residents off their turf. And the Ramona Gardens apartment complex is one area.
That's them. See, they got caught on video. This is the night where they firebombed. They had shirts over their face. They left their cell phones at home, and they went see. Listen, I used to go to the Aliso Village in East LA. Aliso Village had like 5 gangs in there. Now, the Ramona Gardens, it was just one gang in there, the Hazard Gang. But Aliso Village projects, I think it's called Pico Aliso now. But back in the day, it was called Aliso Village. You had First Street East Coast Crips up in there. You had the East LA Dukes, Mexican gang. You had the Capones, that was a Mexican gang. You had the I believe it was the Quattro Palmetto Flats over there. They was over there. The Magician Crew, the TMC. So that project, that particular project right there, Aliso Village had like 5 different gangs in one project. So it was treacherous over there. And First Street East Coast Crips, they was the only black gang in East LA. Then eventually the First Street East Coast, they went to war with all the Mexican gangs in that area, and they're the only black gang over there. See, initially, the First Street East Coast Crips was going to war with the Flats. They was going to war with one Mexican gang. The East Coast was giving the Flats the business. So what end up happening is all the essays over there, because think about it, none of those Mexican gangs got along with each other. But when the war popped off with the blacks, they put all their beef aside, and all of the Mexican gangs was going at the East Coast Crips. That was only, one black gang over there. So the first 3 East Coast Crips, they had heart because they was in a highly populated Mexican area, the only black gang out there. They had to go to war with every Mexican gang in that area by themselves. They was the only black gang in East LA.
His apartment complex is one area where they considered their. Now the 7 men face between a life sentence and 100 years in prison.
Disturbing case to hear about children being targeted as well. Paula Reed.
Man, they didn't care, man. They was just firebombing the houses, man.
Other news now, strong feelings tonight after a town hall meeting at the Ramona Gardens housing project in Boyle Heights.
The meeting was called after a firebomb attack on 4 homes in that area. And
see, my homeboy, his family used to live in Aliso Village back in the 90s and the early 2000s. His family used to live out there, so we used to go over there to kick it with his family. His family was from First Street East Coast, but he had a cousin that was a black Southsider. He was from TMC, right? The Magician Crew. I think that's what they call them, right? But see, at one particular time, they used to call them the Mexican Crips because the TMC had a close relationship with First Street East Coast Crips. And the other Mexican gangs in that area would clown them, and they would say, oh, man, you guys are the Mexican Crips. That's what they used to call them. They used to clown them by saying that. But my homeboy, his cousin was a black Southsider from TMC, and the rest of his family members was from First Street East Coast Crip. True story. That's how I know about Aliso Village, because I used to go out there with my partner all the time.
now the growing fears it could rekindle racial tension. Ramona Gardens is a public housing development located just north of the 10 freeway in the community of.
They're not over there no more, man. East Coast got a gang of factions throughout. There's a bunch of East Coast chapters all over LA. That was First Street East Coast. They tore the projects down and rebuilt them and moved a lot of people out of there. And the Crips never really came back. They just migrated to other East Coast Crip hoods throughout South Central. But First Street East Coast, that was the only black gang in East LA. They don't exist no more because it's called Pico Aliso now. And now they remodeled it, they rebuilt it, and they kicked everybody up out of there. Believe it or not, this is what I'm gonna tell you. A lot of the black residents in Aliso Village got kicked out. The housing authorities kicked them out. They looked at everybody that was black like they was from East Coast Crips. So they started booting people up out of the projects, making people move. So the blacks look at it like, well, shit, man, it's already Mexico. It's already a lot of racially motivated stuff going on. So once they forced everybody to move out because they wanted to remodel the projects, which they did, none of the black people ever came back. A lot of the Mexican people didn't come back. Some of them did and some of them didn't. But the black people just moved out. The housing authority was on their helmet. The police was harassing black people every time they seen them. Then you got beef with all these damn different Mexican gangs. It didn't make no sense to live over there no more.
Boyle Heights has been plagued by gang and drug activity.
KCAL 9 political reporter Dave Bryan joins us from Boyle Heights now with more on the attack and reaction. Dave.
Well, that's right, Sylvia and Lena. We're outside the Hollenbeck division of the LAPD, where extra patrols have been assigned to work Ramona Gardens. An effort to send out a message to the residents there that the police are on the case and things will be safe, as was the community meeting called this afternoon. Same thing, where the police wanted to say to the people here, look, we're working it. We're on top of things. We'll give you the answers.
I will say this. When I used to go out there, we was cool with a lot of essays. We really didn't have no problems with them like that, right? Because I'm not from East Coast. But then, we kicking it out there with East Coast. But it was cool because see a lot of blacks over there grew up with the Mexicans. So they was cool. They were still cool with a lot of Mexicans over there, but they were mainly at war with the different Mexican gangs. But I knew a lot of Mexican people over there that was good people. Some of them were cool as hell. I would chop it up with them. You know what I mean? They was good people. You know what I mean? It's just like, but unfortunately, the gang situation made it racial. But outside of that, most of the other Mexican people over there was pretty cool, man. We would kick it, smoke, drink, kick it, barbecue together. It was, You know, unfortunately, once that gang war popped off, then that's what kind of, you know, divided everybody. Then the first, you know, the Crips had to go to war with every Mexican gang in that area. So that's what changed the game right there, that war. But prior to that, everybody got along just fine prior to that war taking place. You know what I mean? You had the candy ladies. You know what I mean? Another lady used to sell fried chicken dinners. The Mexican sold taco plates. The black lady in the building used to sell her chicken wing plates, her rib plates. They had a candy store in there. Mom, you know, black people had candy stores. They was selling food over there. Hey man, it used to be cracking over there in the Aliso village back in the 90s, in the early 2000s. But just giving y'all some brief history.
And this is not the time to panic. This still photo taken at the scene of the attack at the Ramona Gardens housing project in Boyle Heights after midnight Sunday, early Monday morning, was posted on the Mayor Sam's Sister City website. The community meeting was called by police and fire officials after some neighbors expressed concerns that African Americans live in 3 of the 4 units that were attacked with Molotov cocktails in this largely Latino community.
We are trying to determine motive. We are trying to determine whether it is gang related or if there is some type of hate crime issue involved.
But some of those who attended the meeting, like Lynette McDaniel, who has lived in Ramona Gardens for only 90 days, says she's had enough and isn't waiting around to get the answers, but is moving out ASAP.
I don't want to be around this. I don't want to have my daughter around this at all. So it's better for her. I'll be all right. But this, I
Now,
don't know.
thank God nobody got hurt. You know, they firebombed these apartments, but thank God nobody got hurt. You know what I mean? The houses, you know, the apartments had sprinkler systems, and you know, you would think out of all those firebombers, you know, it was a blessing from God that nobody got hurt. So blessings, man, because keep in mind, you got young children living in those apartments, man. Little kids sleeping at night. So thank God nobody was hurt. But let's move on though. But according to Dubs, man, ain't no such thing as Mexican committing hate crime. Man, those just little kids writing on the wall, man. Man, the people that's writing NK, man, them just little kids, man, putting graffiti up on the wall and shit.
What to say about it, and I don't want to continue to deal with it. So,
man.
You know, I'm gonna move on.
The rumor mill in this community is filled with speculation that the attack may have been racially motivated or gang related. And the police asked us not to bring cameras into the community meeting because they said some residents would not speak out if news cameras were present for fear of retaliation. This man who attended the meeting with his young daughter confirmed there is a climate of fear for some who live here.
You know, some people, if somebody saw something, you know, people are afraid to speak.
But others who attended said after the meeting there is no racial tension in Ramona Gardens, and this lady warned that people shouldn't jump to conclusions about who carried out the attack before the facts are in.
We don't know who did it. LAPD doesn't know who did it. So why do the news say that Hispanics and African Americans are at war when we're not? We're all friends here. I have African American friends. We're not at war.
I mean, you might be telling the truth about that because you're a civilian. So, of course, you might know a couple of black ladies who live there that you're cool with. That could be true. But what we're saying is the gang members in that area are at war with black civilians because they don't want them living there. Man, ain't no racism going on from Mexicans committing hate crimes against black. Man, those just little kids writing on the wall, man. Man, hate crimes don't exist. These are youngsters just writing on walls, putting graffiti everywhere. These ain't no NK gangs, man.
Man who didn't want his name used charged the news media is hyping the story to get more readers and viewers without waiting for the police to complete their investigation.
Something like this happens or something they insinuate.
And then she said the police don't know who did it. Man, you crazy if you think the police don't know who did it. They got gang intelligence. They got a whole gang task force that patrol that community. They know exactly who did it. And they know it. Not only, listen, the LAPD knew exactly who did it, and they knew it was racially motivated. They know who did it, and it was racially motivated. Why you think the LAPD got gang intelligence in that particular area to patrol that gang? To you dig what I'm saying? She fixed her mouth and said, the police don't even know who did it. You a damn lie. The police know exactly who did it. And they understand it was racially motivated. They don't know who did it.
Here, I have African American, Hispanics, and LAPD doesn't know who did it. So
For the facts are in.
we don't know who did it. LAPD doesn't know who did it. So why do the news say that Hispanics and African Americans are at war when we're not? We're all friends here. I have African American friends. We're not at war.
This man who didn't want his name used charged the news media is hyping the story to get more readers and viewers without waiting for the police to complete their investigation.
Something like this happens, or something they insinuate or they think happened, and right away people want to make a story out of it because, you know, stories sell.
Yeah.
Stories bring up the ratings. Stories.
So now he's trying to make it seem like the white man is just making this up. Like, man, I got to say this to my Mexican people, man. You guys got to be honest about this, man. If you're not racist, I'm not saying you got to snitch and call out names, but at some point you got to be honest about the racism coming from your community. He tried to make it so, man, the police just making up stuff for a story, man. They just over here stirring the pot, man. No, the police know exactly who did it, and it was racially motivated. They have gang intelligence in the projects. They have gang experts who patrol that community. They got a lot of gang members in that area on gang file. They know these people by names. Oh, that's Sparky from Hazard. That's Trigger from Hazard. That's Little Joker. That's Trigger. That's Happy. That's Shadow. That's Smokey. The police know their nicknames and they know where they hang. The police know their nicknames and know where they hang. But according to him, man, the police don't even know who did it, man. They just be making up stuff.
Promotes people, but they don't ever want to talk about the good that has come out of this community.
Well, now Ramona Gardens does have a history of racial tension and gang activity, but not in recent years where the area has been fairly peaceful. Now, police say no one was injured in these firebomb attacks and there was only minor damage. We're live in Boyle Heights. Dave Bryan, KCAL 9 News.
Dave, thank you.
Man, the police don't even know who did it, man. Really? They didn't know who did it? All right, man. See, this is ridiculous, man. Man, no, man, they don't know who did it. Police just be lying, making up stuff. Dub said something very similar. Oh, man, ain't no NK gangs out there. Man, them just kids writing on the wall, man. Oh, my God, man, really? He fixed his mouth to say that. Now, let's go to the Rodney in L.A. thing, man, where the video... Let's show the little youngsters who got pressed by the essays. They said, I'm from ATF Compton, Crips. Man, you can tell these is kids. They voiceless, and boy, they got Mickey Mouse voices. They ain't even dropped their sack yet.
Hell yeah, I ain't gonna
listen, man. They ain't even dropped their sack yet, man. These dudes are kids right here. Little kids. Still live with their mama. These ain't no adults. Now, I'm going to show you how the avenues wrote it. What's up? They say, where you from, Holmes? I'm from ATF Compton, Crips. And when you hear how squeaky their voices were, you like, damn, man. You might say, hey, man, put some bass in your voice. He can't put no bass in his voice. He's a kid. He ain't even dropped his sack yet. Yeah. They ain't even, listen.
Why? Me? I think myself a trophy, you feel me? You feel me? Cause like I'm putting on for the hood, you feel me? And I really step, bro. Like if niggas know what I'm talking about, niggas know.
Watch this. He gonna say, I'm from ATF Compton, Crips.
Blue rag on it. I'm nice.
But you gotta expect for them to sound like that, man. These are little boys, man. Some grown ass Mexicans rolled up on them. What's up, bitch? Say, where you from? Avenues gang, Holmes. Where you from? I'm from ATF Compton. Oh, F Compton, that's it. F the Crips, Holmes. Matter of fact, middle finger to Compton, S.A. You in my video, S.A. What you doing over here, Holmes? Yeah.
You don't really know what that shit mean for real, nigga.
Damn, that's crazy. So, what age would you guys say you guys jumped off the porch?
I jumped off the porch like probably like 15, bro.
Like 14, 15. One of them.
So when you guys jump off the porch, what type of stuff are you guys getting into with y'all?
You see how Dubs tried to gaslight us by saying there's no racist Mexican gangs in LA? Those just little kids writing on walls over there. No, man, them just kids writing on walls. Ain't no NK gang against blacks, man. Those youngsters who just writing that stupid stuff on the walls, dog. I'm like, oh, all right, man. Play with our intelligence, but you can't. We know the truth, Dubs. Then this is what they gonna say, man. Those videos are old, man. See, when you show them the videos, then they move the goalposts. See, at first they're gonna tell you that it's not true, and when you but listen, but when you show the video, then they're gonna move the goalpost. Man, that's old stuff. Man, it ain't happening. Man, that's old, man.
Jumping off the porch, like I didn't start gangbanging. I just started doing it.
Yeah, I just started doing what I want. Like when I mean I jump off the porch, I mean
I can't say this was on a gang tip because the essays didn't say nothing racial to him, so I can't call this one racist because he didn't say anything racist. He just said F Crips and F Compton. He didn't say F N-words or anything like that. So I'm not gonna make it seem like this is racial. But what I want to show you is this. The messages rolled up and said, hey, fool, what you fools doing over here, Holmes? Barrio Avenues gang, homie, Avenitos. What's up, S.A.? Where you from? What you doing over here, Holmes? Them essays rolled up and pressed these youngsters. Them essays hopped out. No, these essays pulled up and then they hopped out. First, you got to pull up, then you got to hop out. And once you hop out, you bang on them. It's exactly what happened.
Shit, not listening to my mama, you feel me? I ain't gonna lie, just leaving the house, going where I wanted, you feel me? Stand out nights. I ain't gonna lie, I started doing that shit at like 15.
I stopped answering.
Yeah, if you want to talk about jumping off the porch at the game banging on Crips, I started when I was 16. On the hood, I got put on when I was 16.
15.
Hell yeah. No.
These are so.
My brother.
Look, the essays finna roll up right here. They ain't gonna roll up. Check this out.
No, it ain't, bro.
Watch the essays pull up.
I ain't gonna lie, it's not really that, cause nigga, I fuck with my CVs, nigga. My 155 is on the dead homies, nigga. Free from Earth. Look, hold on. You gotta get this. Free from Earth, nigga. I got it tatted, dead homies. And my brother really a low. Dead homie, he a young nigga. You see the 5 right here, really? 155.
He was just saying, I got an essay homie, rest in peace. I got him tatted on my arm, so he really did have Mexican homeboys. Now watch these essays. Man, these dudes are kids, man. They look like they 15 years old. These dudes look like they're about 15 to 16 years old, man. But watch how these essays pull up.
Really a low. Dead homie, he a young nigga. You see the 5 right here, really? 155. What's up? What's the deal?
What's the deal?
I'm from ATF Compton Crip. I'm from ATF Compton Crip.
I'm from ATF Compton Crip. You see how light they vote, man? These is kids.
What's the deal?
Where you from? S.A. Avenues gang, home. What you doing on my patio? What you fools doing over here, S.A.? I'm from ATF Compton Crip. All right.
I'm from ATF Compton Crip. I'm from ATF Compton Crip.
Hell yeah. No.
These are so we from.
I'm from ATF Compton Crip.
Look at them essays rolling up. Nigga, them essays pulled up. 1, 2, 3. That door open, that door open. The essays pulled up.
I'm from Compton, California.
Fuck Compton, California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how he said, yeah, F Compton, SA. And then the critter, that's how you feel? Yeah, yeah. That's a yeah. He said, man, F Compton, hold on, that's how you feel? The SA said, yeah, homie. Yeah, SA, F Compton, Holmes.
Y'all feel it?
Yeah.
The Crip. I'm from ATM Compton Crip.
Hell yeah. No.
I'm from ATM Compton Crip. I'm from Compton, California.
Fuck Compton,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how y'all feel it?
Yeah.
You heard him say, yeah. That's how you feel? Yeah. Yeah, Holmes says I feel, yeah.
Hell yeah, y'all salute.
The Crip. I'm from ATM Compton Crip.
Hell yeah. No.
I'm from ATM Compton Crip.
Look at him. Look at his hand. Look. He clutching, man. Look at him. This a grown-ass man right there. Look like he weigh about like 260 pounds. These dudes right here are both 130 pounds soaking wet. He rolled up with his hand in his pants. He clutching. Look at him. Look at his hand right there. Where you from? Avenita's gang, Holmes. You fools doing over here, say?
I'm from ATM Compton Crip. I'm from Compton, California.
Fuck Compton,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how y'all feel it?
Yeah. Sup?
Hell yeah, y'all
What
salute.
are you guys doing right here?
We just doing a little interview.
You guys are rappers or what?
Yeah, I'm a rapper.
Fucking A-gang.
That's A-gang. I got it right here. You see it's on my neck.
Salute.
I'm A-gang too.
He sound goofy. I'm A-gang too. I'm A-gang too. He just said F Compton, Crip, and your hood. Ain't no talking after that. Now, you could say that they had Blick and they was ready to take care of business, but what's the purpose in saying, I'm A-gang too? Like you guys had something in common because y'all both banging an A-gang. No, his A stands for avenues. You from Acacia Block way in Compton. It ain't got nothing to do with, I'm from A-gang too. Nah, man.
My Mexicans yeah, I'm a rapper.
Fucking A-gang.
That's A-gang. I got it right here. You see it's on my neck.
Salute.
I'm A-gang too. I fuck with my Mexicans and all that.
I'm A-gang too. Nah, man, you can't say I'm A-gang too, man. Nah, bro. He said F Compton Crips. That's how you feel? That's say, yeah, Holmes. Yeah, that's how I feel. That's how you feel? Yeah, that's how I feel, Holmes.
Salute.
What you want to call?
Oh shit! I
met you in Bassett.
Huh? What's up? What's up? When we doing something? Huh? Damn, what's up?
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah. See, then they left. See, once they knew Rodney, man, with the camera. So they seen it was filming. They said, all right, we're going to get up out of here. It's all good. See, the essays felt like they did their job. They said, okay, we G-checked these blacks, told them if they said F Compton. So the essays felt like mission accomplished, man. You know what I mean? We ran down on them. We checked them. We banged on them. We put them in check. Now it's cool to slide. Now it's cool to get up out of here. So the essays hopped in the whip and, and dipped up out of there. Now, you got people saying what they would have did. Oh man, if it was me, you wouldn't have did nothing. If them thresh would have pulled up on you with them bangers, you wouldn't have did nothing. You would have probably did the same thing. I'm from A-gang too. They would have had you singing and this, hey man, his voice got all, hey man, did you notice how his voice got all high pitched? But then you got all these gangbangers talking about, man, if it was me, man, I would have did, you wouldn't have did nothing if them thresh would have pulled up on you 5 deep. Ready to peel your cap, man, you wouldn't have did nothing. Nah. You would have stayed in pocket just like they stayed in pocket if them thresh pulled up 5 deep, ready to peel your cap. And you sitting up there doing an interview with no banger, no burner, no nothing, just sitting up there naked. Them thresh pulled up. Where you from? Avenita's gang, Holmes. Where you got those from? I'm from ATF Compton Crip. F Compton, F Wooty-Wook, Holmes. That's how you feel? Yeah. That's how I feel, Holmes. Yeah. Vario Avenues gang, A gang. Oh, I'm from A gang too.
What are you guys doing right here?
Just filming.
Then he said, what you fools doing over? Oh man, we rappers, man. We just trying to do a little rap video, man, a little hood vlog. What you fools doing over here, SA? Look, the OG say what you fools doing.
Fuck Compton,
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I'm from ATF Compton, Crips. I'm from Compton, California. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how y'all feel it?
Yeah. Sup?
And that SA said, yeah. That's how you feel? Yeah. What's up? Yeah, that's how I feel. What's up, Holmes? What you fools doing over here?
Hell yeah,
What are you guys doing right here?
We just doing a little interview. Yeah, I'm a rapper.
Hey, man, I ain't gonna lie. That was funny. He said, that's how you feel. The SA said, yeah, that's how I feel, Holmes. Yeah, F Compton. You know? That's how you feel? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how y'all feel it?
Yeah. Sup? What are you guys doing right here?
We just doing a little interview.
You guys are rappers or what?
Yeah, I'm a rapper.
Fucking A-gang.
That's A-gang. I got it right here. You see, it's on my neck. I'm A-gang too. I fuck with my Mexicans and all that. They're homies.
What you going to call?
Oh shit! What's up? What's up? What's up? When are we doing something?
Yeah?
Damn, what's up?
Yeah.
You're good. You're good. You're good. Everything running.
Yeah, the essays dipped out after that. You know what I'm saying? So listen, man, that's what happened, man. Hey, man, you got all these people saying what they would, man. You wouldn't have did nothing, and them essays would have pulled up on you. I don't care how many pays you caught up, how much prison time you served. If them threat essays would have pulled up on you deep like that, you wouldn't have been talking crazy. So to all you, man, if it was me, man, I would have did. You wouldn't have did nothing. If them threat essays would have caught you down bad like that. Nah, you weren't gonna do nothing. Them threat saves would have been ready to peel your cat back the moment you started talking greasy. I promise you. all these fake ass men talking about what they would have did. You wouldn't have did nothing. You would have stayed in pocket just like them youngsters if them threat saves would have pulled up and caught you down bad. Yeah. Threat saves would have pulled up.
So, how do you be honest? How do you guys feel about hood vlogs?
I ain't gonna lie. They cool. But once you do too many, that shit get boring. I ain't gonna lie. Once you do too many hood vlogs, that shit really do get boring.
Y'all, so we're right here, we're doing this interview. all fucking.
The Pyrus and the T-flats was deadly, man. It was deadly, man. You know, when it comes to wars like that, nobody win, man. It's just a bunch of people dying on both sides. People got guns and they gonna use them, and it goes back and forth. So that war was bloody right there. It got ugly with the treetop Pyrus and you know what I mean. The Compton Vadio Tortilla Flats in Compton. That war got deadly. Then you got the Fruittown Pyrus and the Treetop Pyrus. They don't get along with each other, and they're both Pyrus, and they're both at war with the Mexicans. So everybody was at war with each other. You got the Fruittown Pyru down the street from the Treetop Pyru. They going to war with each other, and they both going to war with the Mexicans. So none of them got along. You got the Treetops Pyru shooting at the Compton Flat Mexican gangs, the Compton Flat shooting at them. You got three gangs and they don't like each other. That what was going on, homie. Like back in the early 2000s, and you know what I'm saying? You got two Pyru gangs who don't get along with each other. They're killing each other and they're at war with the Mexicans at the same damn time. Hooking two bitches at the same damn time. Hooking two bitches at the same damn time. You know? Hit the like button, man. I mean, it was kind of crazy for the Pyrus to be beefing with each other. It's like, how y'all beefing with each other and y'all got beef with the Mexicans at the same time? That was crazy, though, but that's what was going on, though. You know, that's what was going on, man. But see, to all you people saying what you would have did, man, they wouldn't have did nothing, man. Them threat essays would have pulled up on you, man. Them essays wasn't playing no games. You know what I mean? What do you think homeboy did? He played it safe. He played it safe because saying something stupid might saying something stupid might cost your life. You know what I'm saying? Hey, though, man, we gonna get up out of here, man. I appreciate everybody for pulling up. I did this live stream, spare the moment for y'all, man. It's a spare the moment live stream. Appreciate everybody for pulling up. You know, I'll be back in the morning with some more content, man. You know how we do it. The game is fluid when it flows through King Supreme. You did. You know it flows through your boy. I'm from ATF Compton Crip. You know, make sure that you guys support the show. Nah, you got cameras there, bro. I don't think, like, I'm gonna be real with you. I just showed you a video how the avenues will pull up on you, man. Them essays don't be playing, bro. The avenues are known for putting in work. They even shot a few LAPD officers over there. The avenues, remember, they shot at a helicopter. The police was in their hood. The dude blasted at the helicopter with the AK-47. The police came through on a raid. They smoked one of the police officers. They're known for committing hate crimes. Them avenues get busy, man. I ain't gonna take nothing away from them. Them avenues get busy, bro. I done seen the avenues run down on the police, walk the police down with a chopper, then busted at the helicopter. So the avenues, you know, them essays get busy over there, man. They ain't playing. So I will say that. Nah, them boys don't be playing. You dig? Yeah, the police came through their hood. The SA busted the helicopter with the chopper and then laid the police officer down, walked him down with the chopper. Yeah. So, you know, so all them people saying what they would have did, man, let me tell you something. And that's not making the essays super hard, because if the essays get caught slipping in the black hood, it's gonna be the same thing. They ain't gonna talk greasy to blacks if blacks got the up on them and ready to spark on them. You know what I'm saying? Ready to chalk walk on them. Nah, man, you ain't gonna talk greasy in a situation like that. That's why they kept it respectful. And he said, I'm A-gang too. He got on some friendly shit because he realized if them essays really wanted to press the line, they could have pressed the line and laid them down. But see, this is the thing. He said F Compton, Crips, and all that, but avenues don't even have beef with black gangs. Once he realized, like, okay, you just, all right, fool. We hit these fools up. We asked them where they was from. We banged the avenues on them. We asked them what they was doing over here. He said, you guys are rappers? He said, yeah, man, we rappers. Da-da-da-da. He said, okay, cool. Once he realized they was doing a hood vlog, and then the essay said, all right, man, we gonna bounce. The essays just came over there to check your temperature. You black in an area where no blacks are known to be at, so they pulled up to check your temperature. That's exactly how I be going down. You know what I'm saying? I can't say the Hoovers South Low. I mean, South Low's got, listen, man. What I will say about that is the South Lows was putting in work too. So I don't think nobody's a punk in this situation. You know, like the Hoovers went to war with the South Lows. It was a gang of back and forth, man. The South Lows was putting in work. The Hoovers was putting in work too. So you got to give it up to both sides for putting in work. I don't think nobody was punking. Nobody got punked in that situation. They was both sliding on each other. You know what I mean? With, you know, the Hoovers and the South Lows, man, that was that was deep right there. Backed them in the corner, right? That's the smart thing you do. Listen, if somebody got you down bad like that, you don't talk greasy. You say, hey, man, you got it, bro. You got it. All right, we good. And you get up out of there. Live to fight another day. All these dudes talking about what they would have did or what they would have said, man, they wouldn't have did nothing. Then the dude said, oh, when they said F, oh, it was time to get cracking. Man, them essays would have peeled their cap back if they tried to get cracking. Them essays would have peeled their cap back if they tried to get cracking. You really think them essays, man, come on, man. The essays were, listen, these are little kids. For one, these are little kids, teenagers. The essays that pulled up, those were some grown-ass men. Look like they've been in prison before. You see what I'm saying? Them essays would have peeled their cap back if they tried to get cracking. Like, come on, man. So to all you dudes, oh, man, I would have got cracking. No, you would not. No, you wouldn't. No, you would not. Oh, man, if it was me, I would have got cracking the moment they said F Compton. You wouldn't have got cracking if they said F Compton. No, you wouldn't. Yeah. Yeah, man. Rafael Perez, man. Yeah, so like I said, the Avenue's got some hitters, bro. The Avenue, they got some real hitters over there, bro. It just is what it is. I'm gonna keep it a stack. I'm not gonna sugarcoat nothing. Oh man, if they would have said F Compton Crips to me, man, I would have got cracking. Man, the messages would have peeled your cat back to the fat meat, to the white meat, and left you in the middle of the street. Talking about you would have got cracking. You would have got your cat peeled back. Talking about what you would have did. Man, please. Man, we're going to get up out of here. Peace to everybody. I do this for educational purposes. I do this for entertainment at the same time. So you're going to get education and entertainment and all wrapped up in one. You dig what I'm saying? So shout out to everybody in the chat, man. It is what it is. You know. So, we're going to get up out of here, man. I'll be back early in the morning with some content. Peace, love, and blessings. Shout out to everybody for being up in here, man. Shout out to the brothers in the chat. Shout out to King OG Moses for being in the chat. I'm cool with some Southsiders, man. I rock with some Southsiders. It ain't all like that. I know some Southsiders that rock with me, and the ones who rock with me, I rock with them. It's all love, man. So, shout out to everybody. But when people said all these dudes were, they didn't say nothing racist. They just said F Compton and F Crips. They didn't say F N-words or none of that. They banged on them, checked their temperature, and then got up out of there. And then just got up out of there. So it is what it is. So you live to fight another day. When somebody got that iron on you and catch you down bad, you don't start talking greasy. That's what you don't do. When they catch you slipping with that iron on you, you don't get to talking greasy. Nah, it don't go like that. So hit the like button, man. I'm going to get up out of here. Peace to everybody. I just want you guys to know that I speak for the people. I educate the people, and we're going to keep it solid. We're going to keep it solid. I appreciate everybody for pulling up. Peace, love, and blessings. I'm gone. He said the South Los was getting Hoovers in the beginning, and the Hoovers came back at the end. Well, this is why. 11 Deuce Hoovers is a small Hoover set, and the South Los was giving them the business. Because the South Los is a big hood, and they got hoods on both sides of the 110 freeway. So the South Los, that's a big Mexican gang. So when they was giving, I ain't gonna lie, they was giving the 11 Deuce Hoovers the business. But the 107 Hoovers is right down the streets. Right down the street. When the 107s got involved, and you know what I mean, the 9-4 Hoovers got involved, that's when they started giving South Los the business. But like I said, 11 Deuce Hoover is like, that got to be one of the smallest Hoover sets. That got to be like one of the smallest Hoover cliques. But once the 107 Hoovers got involved, and that's when they started giving them the business. He said, while Hoovers were going at South Los, they let 18th Streets borrow their hood. True story. Because Hoovers was cool with the 18th Streets. But yeah, the South Los was giving the 11 Deuce Hoovers some hell over there. The 11 Deuces was catching hell from them South Los in the beginning. Because this is why. I'm going to tell you why. There's contributing factors to that. The Hoovers got so much beef with other gangs. See, listen, this is why the 11 Deuce Hoovers caught so much hell. You got the Denver Lane Bloods down the street. The Hoovers don't get along with the Denver Lane Bloods. The Denver Lane Bloods was coming through shooting at them. The Bud Long Gangster Crips, the UG Crips, the Rolling 100 Crips are down the street. Then you got the Raymond Avenue Crips. The Hoovers was surrounded by all enemies. So the Hoovers had Crips shooting at them, Bloods shooting at them, and Mexicans shooting at them. And then when you consider the fact that 11 Deuce was not a super big ass hood in the first place, so they was catching hell from all sides over there. Going to war with the Bloods, going to war with like 5 different Crip sets, and going to war with the Mexicans at the same time. That's why the 11 Deuces was catching so much hell. They had too many enemies over there. You got the Bloods shooting at you today. The next day, the Crips shooting at you. You got all this different beef, man. Listen, the 11 Deuce Hoovers had so much beef, it was ridiculous. But they riders, though, you got to give them their props. They still riders, and they were still putting it down, even though they had so many different enemies coming at them at the same time. You know? So yeah, man. Peace to everybody, though, man. We're gonna get up out of here. 18th Street beef with the Damus in the 6 and 60s. 18th Street with the Damus. And in the 60s hood, the Florence and the 6 Deuce Brim hood. Yeah. Frank Nitty. The 18th Streets, you know, of course, they got beef with the Black P Stones and the Rolling 20s. And then you got Florence on the west side over there in 6 Deuce Brim hood and in the 60s hood. So yeah, man, it is what it is. But peace to everybody, man. We're gonna get up out of here. The South Los was set up in the different lanes. Now I see them moving further east. Yeah, because the South Los is on both sides of the 110 freeway. The Denver Lanes is on the west side of the 10 freeway. And when you get to the east side of the 10 freeway, when you go to east of the 10 freeway on the other side, you got the Broadway gangsters. So the South Los is on the east of the 110 freeway, and they're on the west of the 110 freeway. On the west side of the 110 freeway, they over there with the Denver Lane Bloods. On the east side of the 110, the Broadway Gangster Crips. But like I said, once the 107s got involved, they started giving the South Los, start giving them the blues, giving them the business, even though the South Los was still doing their thing. So you can't take nothing away from them either. All these gangs got soldiers and riders, so it was going down. But I'm gonna get up out of here, man. We didn't told enough hood war stories for the night. Everybody talking about what they would have did, and I would have did this. Oh, if the messages rolled up on me, man, I would have got cracking. No, you wouldn't. The messages would have peeled your cat back trying to get cracking. Man, what you talking about, bruh? You gonna get cracking on the thresh. When the thresh got you outnumbered, and they pulled up ready for smoke. Man, them thresh pulled up ready for smoke, bruh. Yeah. Make sure that you guys hype the video. Bless the like button. It ain't nothing. It's King Supreme, man. I had to let this one run, man. I had to let it run. Yeah, we had to let this one run, man. Make sure that you guys bless the like button. Peace to everybody. I'll catch y'all in the morning.